Howdy folks, LP Guru here, signing in for Let's Play Final Fantasy 1 Episode 17. As always, I'll be picking up right where the previous episode ended. And we're going to be attempting to finish off the Mount Gulg dungeon. Very straightforward fight. A little bit of magic to help pack a nice punch to weaken the enemies, and then standard physical attacks are all that's needed to finish them off. We require right under 8,000 experience points to level up. And that will be fairly easy to do, since we have 4 floors to travel through with this dungeon, at least. Alright, get the picture. Alright, come on now. Not holding back, I see. I'm not even mad that one of them was defeated and Bolt 3 only has 1 to attack. I'm not mad at all, but I am kind of like, really? Only 97 hit points of damage? That's very tame for Bolt 3, but it is what it is. They're dead, so that's all that really matters, but still, that was a bit surprising. Sure, why not? Why not? I was only 1 step away from entering the dungeon, but yes, let me get in another fight. Thanks, game. Who did you end up attacking? I'm gonna go back really quick and take care of that. So far, the cursor has really been showing out, having a mind of its own. And yes, I'm sure some of you are saying, switch to Ice Brand, and that's very nice to know. Poison has no effect on these. Very good to know, and yes, I will. Now we'll switch over right now. There we go. I had forgotten to make the switch from the Coral Sword to Ice Brand. Yes, that's very good to know that poison is not effective at all. I will make it a point to not waste my MP in such a way again. Yes, I remember you. Maybe I can get Nullifier cast first. Maybe. Or maybe just, yeah, good. Maybe just defeat the thing. That works too. Always having to check up on everybody. As you know, lava, you know, I could well imagine that it, you know, that it hurts just a little bit to walk on. Just a little bit. Trying to see if I have each floor memorized, and up until that point I did. One wrong turn. Oops. Alright, here we are back at the basement. Level 4. And clearly the whole floor being lava mechanism is a huge annoyance factor. But it can also be a threat if you don't pay attention and make sure to restore hit points every now and then. It can really sneak up on you. But I think we're good for right now. But yeah, if you get lulled into that false sense of security and then get in a fight like this, that could be very bad. Wouldn't take much at all to KO one of the spellcasters in that type of, you know, situation if you haven't restored health recently. That's just something to keep in mind. It can get a bit monotonous after a while, but it's definitely worth taking those few extra seconds. Alright, completely new territory. And if I remember this floor correct, it does branch off in a lot of different directions, but only a few paths lead to rooms. Most, I think, are dead ends. But we will just have to wait and see where each path leads. This is definitely another point in the game where level grinding, well, I shouldn't really say level grinding, but leveling up isn't hard to do. Just from the sheer fact of so many different paths and always having to backtrack, you are guaranteed to get in numerous fights. I try not to use the term level grinding too much, because there is a difference between level grinding and getting to the point where you are leveling up at a normal rate. Wow. That was 100, yep, 100 hit points of damage on one hit. And yes, Cure 3 can be hit or miss. I think that was probably about middle of the road hit point restoration that was just witnessed. That can also be frustrating because when it's only in the 60 hit point range, it's like, I would have just been better off casting Cure 2. But you never have any way of knowing ahead of time. So it's always a toss-up. But of course you want to restore as much health as is possible. That's always the goal. So whatever it takes to get the job done, but of course efficiency is also the goal too, so it's kind of a catch-22. You don't really know. You're always going to be taking a chance, but that's mostly because it's a It's a range of hit points that are being restored instead of a set value or a set percentage. It's the range that always serves as the hiccup. You just never know where in that range is going to fall with each casting. If it could be guaranteed, if it could be guaranteed that you're always going to land in the upper end of that range, then that would be awesome. That would be great. But you do not have that guarantee. And that is true for every hit point restoring spell. It's not as simple as being like, oh well, I might be better off casting, Cure 2 since, Cure 3 only restored about 60 some odd, hit points. I would, be better off using your Cure 2, but then, well, again, you don't have that guarantee. A very similar thing could happen with Cure 2. You could only restore somewhere in the 30 hit point range, and if you need to restore clearly about 100, then that's that's no good, and that's just as frustrating. But what can you do? What can I do? Nothing. And just let the effectiveness of poison just then. It did absolutely nothing. And what I try to do is explore in the same direction. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter what order and what direction you explore in, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise. But just keep in mind, always keep heading in the same direction from where you started. Otherwise, you could get yourself in a jam if you backtrack too much. Speaking on the topic of efficiency, that is a great way to explore, especially when you start getting into dungeons that have a lot of paths that branch off in multiple directions, like this floor is doing. And I can guarantee everyone right now there's going to be at least one trigger encounter in this room. We've been earning some pretty good experience, so I'm kind of surprised we haven't leveled up yet, and that is a good thought to have. 751 experience remaining. And from the looks of this fight, I'm sure we will be I'm sure we'll be leveling up. If we don't, then that will be a very good opportunity missed. Almost. Right there at it. Really. Really? I think we only need like 25 experience left. Let's see if my math skills are on point. They are. They are. So only only 25 more points needed. And flame mail is definitely nice equipment. I think one thing that I forgot to mention in the previous episode is that just like with weapons, when you see an armor's description that says that it is either forged with the essence of something, or however it is phrased, whatever words are actually used, similar effects are in place. So flame mail is actually going to reduce fire damage received, but the flame shield, it doesn't quite grant 100% protection. In order to have that, I would have to have something similar, like flame helm and possibly flame gloves. But since half of the armor equipment is now comprised of this special attribute, it's safe to say that we're somewhere around a 50% reduction bonus to fire damage. So that's super important. Our warrior now has a great advantage. But of course, something to keep in mind is simply this. It's effective in giving protection against fire-based damage, but if I were to forget to switch it out for a different type of armor, and we entered into an area, not this dungeon of course, but in a future location, but if we're in an area that is comprised of ice-based enemies, then there would be no protection at all. I mean, the physical sense would still exist, but the warrior would actually receive additional damage if any of the ice-based creatures were to use some type of ice-based attack. Because fire is on the opposite end of the spectrum from ice. And of course, this exists in pretty much every RPG. And as time passes on and additional video games were made, more elements were added into the mix, and additional attributes and rules and behaviors and principles and all that good stuff were also programmed into future both Final Fantasy games and RPGs overall. But for Final Fantasy 1, you only have to concern yourself with the basics of such a system. But that is a topic that is its own story. It's a whole another topic that I could spend who knows how much time talking about, but I will spare everyone. I mean, it's really good information to know, but I don't think everyone wants to be subjected to that one topic for the entirety of this recording. So yes, this is our destination, but as always, I'm going to hold off and I'm going to finish exploring, because I'm sure there's at least one more important piece of gear or item or something around here. Ha! You missed. My turn. Yeah, and these guys, at this point, it's been learned that they pretty much just dish out physical attacks. I'm not saying they aren't capable of magic, but for whatever reason, they prefer to just physically attack. Which, I mean, I'm personally not. I'm not complaining, but it's just a little odd. I'm actually going to test something really quick, because there's a point in the game where, there we go, wasn't sure if it was now or not, but if you notice that change, that was actually very quick, so I'll go back and do this one more time. I'm not sure what level this first starts at for the monk, but at a certain level, he's actually better off without any type of weapon. So right now, our attack value, or the monk's attack value, is 27. But removing any type of weapon and letting him fight with just his bare fist boosted from 27 to 60. So I'm definitely glad that I took the time to check on that. Believe it or not, the monk actually becomes your strongest, there we go, your strongest natural strength character in the party. Gotta give him a little bit of time, but once he gets there, he's your greatest asset when it comes to physical attacks. And I think that sometimes when a party is first created in this game, I think that the monk is often overlooked. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I mean, I think that was... I know, actually, I don't think that was a critical. I think that was just a regular physical attack. Now he is taking out a Pyros in a single attack. But I think that some people overlook the monk. They look at... Well, this is especially true for people who have completely played through Final Fantasy 1 at least one time. But they know all the different special attributes of the different jobs and everything, and they know that of them all, that the monk is the most lacking in that regard. I mean, even taking out a red dragon in a single attack. So it's definitely worthwhile. Come level 30, like I say, I'm not sure as to the exact level, but definitely at level 30 you can unequip any weapons, or whatever weapon I should say that you have in place on your monk, and let him go ham on on whatever you encounter. Because unless the enemy just has some beyond insane, defensive stat, they're not going to survive. Alright, so level 30, right over 7,100 experience required. Okay, so they've already been in the corresponding room for that treasure chest. So, nothing to see here. Moving on. Now, the monk, I really think, oftentimes is overlooked. And I won't speak on this too much, but even though I'm sure I have a good number of viewers who have beaten this game at least once before, still I'm trying to keep things authentic and fresh and pure and as spoiler free as possible for anyone watching who has never beaten this game, or especially who has never played this game. So yeah, I will definitely revisit this topic at some point in the future, because I know myself, if I keep talking about it right now, there's a very good chance that I could slip up and say a little more than is intended, and I do not want to do that. Okay, now it looks like the room we just visited is where the flame mail was in the other room, where we actually acquired the flame mail. So all that remains is this room in the top right corner. And then we will be ready to take on this dungeon's boss. And I had said the word boss, but I think it came out a little weird because I had a I had a hiccup that decided to try to perform a sneak attack on me. Didn't actually fully form and come out, just stayed in my chest, but it was enough to affect my speech, so it might have had what I said sound a little weird. Alright, we're as ready as we're going to be. So from the top right corner to the bottom left corner. And I will say that one feature that is sorely missed from later Final Fantasy games is a save room. Later in life, they would either, I don't know if it's the fact that they would come to this realization, or if they would willingly, like consciously choose to make this decision with what I'm about to say. But in future Final Fantasy games, typically when you reach the floor, whatever the floor may be, of a dungeon or an area, whatever the setting may be, where the boss is located, there's a save room. And that feature is so nice. It's so nice. It definitely, as this entire series progresses, some of the later games definitely spoil players, myself included. So when you come back and you revisit the original game, it's like, oh man, I have taken this one feature for granted. I've taken it for granted. But yet again, that's definitely a point about this game that makes it so challenging. Because I mean, if you die in this type of fight that we're about to take on, you have to do everything we've done. You have to completely explore the dungeon again. Well, from when you last saved your progress, of course. But you have all this to do again. But without further ado, it's time for a showdown with the Fire Fiend, Merilith. Famous last words. Let's dance. Definitely important to get null fire in place for that very reason. But it's also definitely important to make sure that your monk does not have a weapon equipped. he just stole the show. And once again, there is a teleportal at the back of the crystal altar chamber. That will return you straight to the surface. And just like that, the fire fiend has been extinguished. And I need the coral sword once more. Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna be like one punch and it's gonna be dead. Let's see. Yep. Bye. And now we are heading back to Crescent Lake, and I'm going to see if any of the sages have anything new to say now that the fire crystal's light has been restored. And I think it's just one sage in particular that needs to be talked to. But I think they all say the same thing except for this one. But we shall see. No. No. That's still not what I was thinking would be said. Okay, where are you? Nope, not you either. Alright, come on. Alright. Nah, well, probably not. But I do remember what had been said in whatever episode we had first talked to them. I'm gonna see if I can view it from here. And you can view the world map from inside a town. So, with the Earth Fiend and Fire Fiend having now been taken care of, it looks like we will need to be setting our sights on the northern civilization. So the northern half of the world map. But there's a few things that we have to take care of first. But none of it is straightforward, and I believe that one of them involves another dungeon. Let me go back to the world map really quick. I could be mistaken. I mean, I definitely know. Well, I shouldn't say definitely know, because my memory isn't always the greatest. I haven't always had a spot on perfect recollection of things. But that having been said, I do believe, I could be mistaken, but I do believe that what the cursor is pointing at is the dungeon that we need to visit next. But as I said just a few minutes ago, it is rather long and involved, and there's no way that we'll make decent progress in it. So what I'm going to do is, well, decent progress in it in this episode, I should specify. So what I'm going to do is instead of taking any unnecessary and senseless chances, I'm definitely going to save our progress and save future explorations for the next episode, because we still have to journey, actually travel to that dungeon. And if you remember what it looked like on the world map, it's quite a bit of water to traverse just to get there. So that in and of itself is going to take some time. So I definitely want to give, myself the proper amount of time. I don't want anything to feel rushed at all. So yes, all that having been said, this episode more than likely will be one of the shortest I've ever recorded, believe it or not, for this project. But that's okay. But like I say, I don't want anything to feel rushed or off or weird or anything of that nature. So, we're taking a temporary break right here. But in the very next episode, we're going to be doing some more exploring, figuring out what we've got to do to gain access to the northern land masses so that we can continue our quest to restore light to the 2 remaining crystals. As always, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all in the next episode. LP Guru, signing out.